Hi. So, we're talking today about liberation. We're talking about redeeming ourselves from a state of exile, from a state of enslavement, limitation, stuckness, depression, limited life, limited being, and the momentous, the exalted, the step by step, gradual yet expedient dichotomy of process that peels back the husks that keep us trapped, that keep us limited in a life that is ultimately not serving us. Right now, we're in the time frame between Purim and Pesach, and I just heard this little piece of information from Rabbi Pinson, who says that the peh of Purim and the peh of Pesach, the peh and peh, we call this time frame peh el peh, geula to geula, redemption to redemption. Meaning one expands upon and builds upon the other, and the space in between is very special. It's very holy. It's very fertile with opportunities for saturation of our souls into a certain level where we prime our being to be ready to receive an even higher level of light, a higher level of geula. On Purim, we receive such tremendous highlights. This says Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. He said such a highlight of Adelo Yadai, the Keser Malchus, the highest, holiest place where the unification of contradiction is so apparent and so raw and so visceral. We just don't doubt it. We feel it. We know it. It's like the veil has been revealed and we merged into the sublime oneness consciousness that is the Eibishter, that is the creator of Shemayim Va'aretz, infinite and finite, and that is all in one at the same time. It's so high. It's so incredible. It's so beyond. It's so transcendent. And now the work is to create a vessel in Pesach to contain that light, to inculcate it, to integrate it, to let it become a part of our lucid awakeness, our reality. So that when we engage in the mundane and we engage in the vicissitudes of life, we are rooted, we are anchored on a place on high, ready to transmit that message to the world, to be the vessels. So we're in this place, peh, el peh. El, the word between the two peh, is 31, and there's 31 days between Purim and Pesach. And when I read this, I really thought, oh my gosh, this is like peh el peh. The peh is the mouth. We're in a space of mouth-to-mouth resuscitation from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're receiving, and when someone is giving, lo aleinu, in a situation of emergency, a mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, one is breathing their breath from inside them into the breath of the other person, and then pumping their heart to awaken and enliven them and reclaim their vitality. It's a resuscitative experience of deep level, almost intimacy, the mouth to one mouth, peh el peh. The mouth of the Creator reaches our mouths and breathes the breath of life, the breath of consciousness, the breath of aliveness, the breath of awareness, the breath of isness. We receive this incredible space, and we're in that place right now. And in that place, it can be confusing. It's miraculous. It's wondrous. It's an energy of potential, of inherent pregnancy of movement. There's something happening here. But we may not fully understand what it is because the process of inculcating such a high light is contrary to the experience of the confines of our mind. And so this time, this space, this opportunity available to us is an opportunity for tremendous expansion. If we can just receive the resuscitation, receive the kiss from Hashem. Peh el peh, mouth to mouth. There's something in that, and aliveness is being breathed into the corporeal reality of our body, of our heart, of our organs, of our mind. There's a breath, a pulse of life. The divinity within us goes whoosh at this time, and it merges into our being, and we just need to receive it, become embodied. Welcome it in. Welcome it in with humility, with anava, with awe, and with wonder, and step into the journey of which we are about to embark. The vessel building experience of Pesach to contain and receive and merge with the lights of Purim, the Adelo Yadai, the oneness. And how do we do this? What is happening in this time? What is happening on Pesach that allows us to emerge from slavery into freedom? And so there's this resting into the trust of knowing that Hashem is holding you through this journey and this space, and part of getting it is just letting it wash through you. There's a Seder you can just almost, I want to say mindlessly, but allow your body and your subconscious mind to just receive the motions of everything that you're going through in these 15 steps of the Seder and the Biur Chametz of where we are right now. And just receive it. Let it wash over you, especially at the time of the Seder. And in this time, let's develop, if we can, some intentionality of what we're bringing in, of what we can soak from the experiences of where we're meant to take ourselves. And there's so many places to delve into when it comes to Pesach. I'm not even really sure where to begin. It's in a way, Pesach is like the seminar. It's Hashem's seminar of growth and redemption and rebirth and renewal. There's so many retreats these days and seminars where people want to step away from it all and inculcate themselves within a new experience of themselves, a new reality, deepen their capacity for connection within their own being. So many of us are just, shells. We're not even in our own skin. We're not feeling our feelings. We're numb. We're hard inside. We're so disconnected from ourselves. And in a way, there's no greater pain than that level of alienation of self. And so people go on a retreat and they go on a seminar to try to reclaim. And then maybe they don't even know what it is they're trying to reclaim. But something is awry. Something is off. Something is hurts. And they feel compelled and called to surrender a lot. To surrender their time and their money, the way they've done things, the predictability of life, because in these situations, you're, in a certain sense, going into the unknown of what's going to be. But there's a call for more. And then others of us might find ourselves trapped in cycles of reactivity and a high level emotionality, or needing to control everything, or to know everything, or to be so the word is in Yiddish geschickt, meaning I have everything. I'm the most amazing homemaker, the most amazing fashionista, I'm the most amazing balabasta. I've got it all under control. I got this. So we think, but it's exhausting underneath that mask. There's something not right. There's something askew. It's almost like I'm enslaved to behave and to be this way, because otherwise, who am I in this world? And we're constantly in vigilance for threat. So afraid, so scared for what is underneath that threat, or what we might encounter within our being, that we're constantly on guard, in fight mode, in flight mode, protecting. I shouldn't feel that. I shouldn't go there. Hardening our hearts because it got too scary to even need. And so there's so much loneliness. And we find ourselves entrapped in a level of enslavement. Enslaved to the views of how others perceive us, to define our own sense of well-being. Enslaved into the entrapments we've even imprisoned in our own being, of the limitations of what I can achieve in this world. And we have this pulse inside, this mouth-to-mouth resuscitation that says, my dear child, there is more. There's more for you. There's infinitely more for you. And it can be articulated, it can be said, it can be spelled out, it can be experienced. It's just that there's levels of concealment, concealing you to me. And I want you to go through this journey, through the seminar of the Pesach Seder, much like the seminars that I lead, the possible you and breathwork experiences, individual experiences, where we're going to peel back the layers and begin to experience what we've been going through, and let them dissolve the klippas around our heart and the calcifications around our mind, and the hardness that has become our sense of self-reality and definitions, such that we could be free. And it's not a hedonistic or a narcissistic freedom that we want. Real freedom is when I step into my mission, into my tachlis, into the contributions that I am commanded by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to offer up into this world. But I cannot do that if I'm locked up inside. So how do I liberate? We collectively liberate and we individually liberate. And what is going on in this Pesach experience that exposes us to the raw, real, undiluted potential of the human inside of me, merged with the divine, capable of connecting to the infinite and revealing the infinite. So let's start with the beginning. We'll start with Kaddish. Start with Kaddish. We're making a bracha, and we're inculcating the idea into ourselves right away from the very beginning, even if it's out of order, if it doesn't completely make sense, because usually we wash before we make Kiddush. But we're doing Kaddish to say, wait a second, who am I as I begin to embark on this very raw and vulnerable journey where I'm going to re-experience some of my fragmentation, my brokenness, my enslavement, the tender parts inside of me, the parts that it's my greatest fear sometimes to ever acknowledge, to ever feel. First, I have to say and know, well, who am I? I have to have a sense of safety in my own real essence of regality. As a beautiful, incredible, exquisite Bas Melech, a Ben Melech. The world was created for you, and you are noble, you are infinite, you are powerful, you are capable, you are wanted, you are needed. You have infinite worth and value, and you need to know that. We declare it, we claim it as so. We sit like kings and queens in front of this beautiful table with sparkling kalim that we are building and shining and creating for ourselves in this time and in this place and in this space to be able to contain high levels of consciousness of what you are capable of. And we sit before this incredible Suda and before this table in beautiful, elegant clothing, and some men are even in a kittel of white like the priests on high. And we declare, this is who I am. What follows after I am sends a very significant and poignant message to your subconscious being to rise into that. This is who I am. I'm a Kaddish myself. I define myself in terms of who the Borei Olam sees me as. And once I declare this as so, and I feel it in my body and in my being, now I can begin to make that courageous descent into the raw and tender and unhealed, enslaved parts of my own being. And I begin to wash. And I begin to say there's things I need to clean off, that I need to let go of. There was a certain, so to speak, defilement that inhibited me from living into my light, and I'm going to begin to take a look at it. And so I'm going to wash. And then I'm going to go even further and a little deeper, and I'm going to begin to start dipping into the salt water, into the tears, into the pain. I'm going to embrace my tears. I'm not going to go through a spiritual bypass that it's all good, it's completely fine. No, there has been pain. There has been fear. There has been confusion. There has been agony. And it has killed and it has hurt. And I welcome my tears. I sit into the pain and I get real with it, because I can only truly have exalted Emunah when I realize and I come clean with the pain that exists inside of me, and maybe the pain that I've caused to other people, to the Eibishter, to my own neshama. We're dipping. The dipping is reminiscent of the dip of the brothers. They dipped the Kesanis Pasam, the coat of Yosef. They dipped his coat into the blood of a goat in order to make their father believe that their brother Yosef was dead. And the karpas, that's the Kesanis Pasam. That is that. It's an allusion to this moment of fragmentation, of betrayal, of hurt, of loss, of the dissolution of the family unit, of cohesion, which is, by the way, why we sit together primarily as families. Soul groupings or nuclear families, extended families. We sit together because we're making a tikkun for this level of fragmentation with the original dipping into the blood. And now we dip. We dip and we cry and we feel and we mourn. And we feel it. We feel the brokenness of Yaakov Avinu, our great ancestor, our father, descendants of Yaakov, and his journey and his pain and his fragmentation and his alienation. And this is what ultimately began this descent as we go down and down and down to farther and further till we reach this level of defilement, of enslavement, the 49th level of Tuma, for which we barely got out of. But we go into the tears. This is the only way out. The only way out of an enslaved mentality. The only way out is through the emotions, through the feelings, through facing it. And sometimes we need a guide to take us there, to sit with us, to encourage us that it's safe to go there, and I'll hold you in your light, even when you feel the depths of your pain. And Hashem is our guide this night. The Haggadah is our guide, and we're trusting this process as we go through it in community together, and yet each of us in our own story, to liberate, to free. We think so many times that the only way out of our stuff is to just avoid it. Not tonight, not Pesach. The only way out is to go into it. And so we go even deeper. We go deeper next to the place of Yachat, which is the breaking of that middle. There's 3 matzahs. In the middle one we take out and we break it. And when that breaks, I encourage each one of you to feel the fissure inside your own being. Feel the moments of the hammer blow of your own life. Maybe it was from a previous generation, or maybe it was a dynamic in your upbringing, or maybe it was at school somewhere. A bullying, a teacher, or not seeing you, a feeling like you can't measure up, like maybe you're dumb or you're stupid or something. You made a beautiful art project and kids knocked you for it, and suddenly there was a breaking inside of your heart, of your tender being, where to a certain extent your innocence was lost. And there's that brokenness inside. And we don't shy away from it. We say, yeah, that brokenness was there. That brokenness was there. And it's interesting because when we break this, and I just know this because my husband does it at the Seder, and I'm sure there's sources, maybe it's the Ben Ish Chai, but you break the middle matzah and it goes into a Dalet and a Vav, and if you put the Dalet and the Vav together, you get a Hey. And what's interesting about this Hey is that, well, number one, every month has different 12 simanim, and one of the simanim is the letter of the month, and the letter of the month of Nisan is the Hey. The Hey is like that grounded, feminine self-expression here into this world. But when we break, and we go through these breaks again and again and again, what we lose so often is our sense of self-expression, our voice. And in this moment of breaking, it's before Magid, it's before we get our voice. It's like it's a primordial severance. It's pre-verbal. It's a pre-verbal trauma of separation, of exile, of loneliness, of longing, of wondering if I'm even going to survive. Am I wanted in this world? What's going to be with me? It's a bereft sense of screaming out because I don't even have the words, because the break is so overwhelming. And we lost the Hey, we lost that grounded self-expression into this world. And it's interesting to note that in Chametz versus the transition from Chametz to Matzah, the only letter difference is the Ches in Chametz becomes the Hey in Matzah. When we break the bloviated Ches of Chametz, that bloviated sense that it's all good, I got it perfectly all together, nothing in me needs exploration, I'm fine just the way I am. The self-delusions, the self-deceptions that we tell ourselves, like if I have a story, a narrative around my personal dysfunctions, and I call it functional to myself, I'm good, It's really self-deception. But we can finally break that level, that outermost external level of klipa, of denial, of justifications that we make for all of the ways in which we're harming ourselves and others, and keeping ourselves stuck in our personal constraints of Mitzrayim, bowing down to the paro within. And we break it. We break it. And it becomes matzah, the bread of freedom. The bread of freedom. Recognizing how spiritually bereft we have been, and finally acknowledging the poor man's bread inside of us. So we get present to the breaking in our lives. And it's interesting because, it's called ultimately the afikomen, which is Aramaic for sweet desserts, right? And the Baal Shem Tov says that there's really 3 stages to any healing, to any reclamation of the exiled parts of ourselves. And the first stage is hachna'ah, a submission process. I submit to the reality that there's a brokenness inside of me, there's a pain. There's dysfunction that I exhibit. Maybe my boundaries are loose. Maybe I invade other people's boundaries and space. Maybe I just don't know my own value or my own worth. I'm so busy becoming the greatest ask on giving and giving, the greatest chesed lady, pleasing and pleasing and pleasing and pleasing. God forbid anyone should ever know or see, or I should ever come in contact with the little child inside that feels unworthy and unwanted and incapable. So I give and give and give and give. And here in Hachna'ah, in the breaking of Yachatz, I submit. I surrender. I say, yeah, it's there, and I acknowledge this. There's Hachna'ah. And then there's the Havdalah, the separating out. Okay, well, if I'm not this, because this really was just a story that I made up about myself based on circumstances that happened. That's not who I am. And the inauthentic persona that's keeping me calcified in a very exhausting and lonely, limited way of being. Well, that persona is not me either. I'm not shy. I'm not voiceless. I'm not untrusting. That's just something I've created, I've contrived for my own being to stay out of the wound, out of the belief, out of the deep exiled pain that feels too unbearable to make contact with. And so I push it away with personality moves. And here in Havdalah, I'm separating out. I'm taking notice. I'm becoming aware of what I've not necessarily been aware of. I'm making the subconscious conscious. What have I been up to? This is not me. This is not me. So then I begin to even ask the question, so who am I? Sit with that. Sit with that at Yachatz. Sit with that at the Seder. Who am I? And we break. We break. And we separate out. We sort through what we've been up to. We get real with ourselves. And we begin to ask really significant questions of identity, of person, of presence, of purpose, of mission. And then according to the Baal Shem Tov, so we had Hachna'ah, submission, and then Havdalah, which is separation. And then we get to the sweetening. It's called Hamtaka, the third phase, which is why I believe, and I think I understand this to be, is that the afikomen in Aramaic is referred to as the sweet dessert, because after we've broken, we don't just break to break, but we're breaking open. There is a shvias hakelim, a shattering of the vessels. It has to happen. The first luchos had to shatter so we could have the enduring second set that lasts through eternity. There is something in the breaking that is not just a breaking stam, it's a breaking open. I'm broken open, finally, thank God. Because if I had never broken open, God knows I would have remained stuck and voiceless and trapped and reactive, predictably reacting to all kinds of triggers in my life, being so much less than I ever could have been. The connections, the experiences, the purpose, the passion, the glory, the voice. We're reclaiming the voice in all of this. We are the highest level of living. We are medaber. There's domain, there's someach, there's chayas, domain, the inanimate, the plant life, the vegetative life, the chayas, the animals. The human being is a medaber, a speaking spirit. That is who we are. In order to say our stories, our real stories with heart, passion, experience, emotions that course through our being. We're not just mechanical beings going through the motions of the mitzvahs. We're meant to feel and integrate the satiation of all levels of our soul into this existence now. To be a light, a vessel for the light of Hashem to shine through. And the only way we can do this, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is to break open. And that's the waters breaking open too. And when the waters break open, the Yam Suf breaks, we see very clearly that it's for the birth of a nation. The waters breaking when we give birth is a baby being born, new life. New life. And we're shedding with the old. We're breaking the calcified confinements of the constrictions and the borders of what Mitzrayim has always told me I am. You're incapable, you're nothing, you're a loser, you're stupid, you're dumb. You need me to tell you who you are. But we say, I'm done. I'm just breaking into the pain of that. Shatter me, because I can't live with this anymore. Can't live with it. And we break open. And there's a sweetening in the end of this process when we finally move through it all. And we tell our story. And we reclaim parts of our sparks and our souls and our neshama's path and mission and purpose, along with Magid and Nirzad. And we search for the Afikomen at Safon. Who's searching, by the way? It's the children. It's the innocent parts of ourselves that are saying, no, I cling to the innocence within. I can now integrate it into my lived experience and now have a crazy, wise, deep vessel to contain an enormously new amount of light. But I reintegrate the lights of the child inside, unburdened by the pains of what she has been carrying. And now I can integrate her light, her hope, her spontaneity, her joy, her bliss, her fun. When we do this journey, we even begin to look different. We look different. We glow. We shine. People often say, Rachelea, you don't look your age. Maybe I don't. Some days I do. It's the healing journey again and again and again. And you're not afraid to break, and you're not afraid to confront the darkness. And you're not afraid to realize when maybe you've been resisting the breakage. That's where suffering and enslavement entrap you, by the way. When you resist the fragmentation, when you resist the break, that's where suffering goes on. And when you just submit and surrender and let it flow and let it go and let it come, trusting in Hashem's movement for you in the directions of your life, and you can just receive it. You can be present for the uncomforts of life and receive what you need to receive with grace and with some ease. That's the experience of the ennobled state, of the free state. Heal. Let the innocence now shine through, unencumbered by the burdens of the calcified limits of the constraints of consciousness that is the Mitzrayim within. Mitzrayim was such a double Meitzar. We lost our voice. We lost all sense of who we are. And finally, we come to this space where we exit Mitzrayim. It's incredible. We exit Mitzrayim. We leave. We just step into the Yam Suf and say, Hashem, you got me. I trust you. I'm liberated, recreated anew with riches, with wealth, with spoils, with incredible material, but spiritual wealth of wisdom. And we can walk through that sea and we can say, whoa, I can peer through the rakia of all the layers of concealment and see your divine existence. Like Yecheskel and Navi with the Merkava. I can see the divine chariot. Wow. And then once again, Hashem removes it, and we go back into our daily lives of the mundane and the experience of feeling lost and bewildered, and we go into the medicine of the midbar, the medicinal midbar. Once again, reacquainting ourselves with vessel building, reacquainting ourselves with the subterranean aspects of my being, of our beings, of where we're holding back, of where our fears are, confronting them, acknowledging them, surrendering, submitting, recreating the process again, submission, surrender, Havdalah, Hamtaka, and sweeten all the way till we get to Har Sinai. And it's this constant movement that we're going through. Expand, contract, expand, contract. And every time we expand a little more and a little more and a little more, and we reclaim more and more of ourselves. We let go of the small, limited, reactive, animalistic, instinctual self. We let it go. We reclaim our godless as we surrender in to the truth of who we actually are. We experience the world anew. And at a certain point, we even sweeten the animal within. We harness that raw energy. And we grow and we climb and we excavate and we heal. Healing is such a journey. It's such a process. And the process is gorgeous. The process is beautiful. There will be dark moments. In the next video, I want to delve into the dark. Actually, I want to delve into the darkness of the 9th plague of Choshech. There's so much there. The darkness of our lives. And actually, for this moment, I want to invite you to just feel it a little bit. Feel some of that darkness. Where is it that you're so occluded inside that you can't see? You can't see the pain of the other person. You can't see their light, their beauty, their perspective. They're just an opponent, sucking you dry. Hierarchical comparisons, self-consumed in your own being, and there's just so much darkness. You've forgotten. Shachach. You take the letters of Choshech and you rearrange, and they spell the Hebrew word for forgetting. Darkness is forgetting. Forgetting what? Forgetting who you are. Forgetting Hashem inside of you. Forgetting your essential luminescence, your essence, your kedusha, your holiness, your belovedness. You've forgotten. So in that level of forgetting, there's a fear, and you become self-consumed. This is the nature of human beings. And now I can't see. And once I'm I can't see you. I can't see your light. I can't see my light. And so now the next 3 days, they couldn't even move. It gets deeper. The darkness deepens. And now they're immovable. They can't, those that were sitting could not stand, and those that were standing could not sit. Talk about a hardening of the heart. An imprisonment within. They couldn't even move. They couldn't transition. They couldn't pivot. They couldn't try something new. They couldn't experiment with a new way of being. There was just so much stuckness, so much frozenness. That's where the dark takes you. It takes you in a place of immobility. But we're in a place of moving. We're stepping, we're moving through the Seder, through the desert, through the Midbar. We're constantly in a space of motion, which is connected depression and stillness and atzvus and stillness and self-absorption. But now I'm moving into my mission to be a light for Hashem in this world. To know who I am. And what was the difference between the Yidden who were in the light? They had the light. They had not just the light, but they had this crazy primordial X-ray vision light where they could literally see through the blocks. They could see through the shelves, the drawers, the safes that contain the gold and silver. So when the Mitzrim later would say, no, I don't have it, when the Yidden asked them for their treasures, they'd say, yes, you do. It's in the third drawer on the left and the right inside your safe, and there it is, the riches and the gold and the silver. You do have it. I saw it, because their eyes could pierce through. Their eyes had X-ray vision. You too can have X-ray vision. You can look inside the soul of the person sitting across from you and look in the reflection of your own eyes in the mirror and see the godless inside. See the flame of your soul that's reaching higher and higher and higher despite the breaking, despite the falls, despite the failures, the chaos, the confusion, the confinements, the constrictions. Your infinite soul is reaching up, and that is who you are. So you can pick back up. You can be the light for yourself in the darkness and that light for others, and see with the X-ray vision of the Yidden in that moment through the inner Mitzri inside of yourself, and see through it all. And the jewels, those jewels, those gold and silver, says the Zohar is a metaphor. The gold and silver is a metaphor for the knowledge, the integrated knowledge that Hashem is right here, right now, and He loves you. That's what we grabbed hold of. Spiritual richness of that. We got that. That was the 9th level of liberation. To see and pierce through the darkness. There's something there for you. There's something there for us. Grab hold of that inner vision of who you are. Get those golds. Get that silver. We're liberating our light. We're liberating the light of the Shekhinah within us. We're in a process. We're in a space of movement. We're in the seminar of Hashem. I speak this from my soul because I live seminars. I live healing work. I'm born to sit with people in the darkness and encourage them to go into that space, holding these incredible pathways that God gave us to heal, to grow, to find our light, to sit with our darkness, to sit with the breaking, to break it open, to come to the afikomen, the sweetening at the end, the hamtaka. Hashem wants this for us. He wants the journey. He wants the process. He wants the exalted, actualized, embodied freedom that we each have within us, layer by layer by layer by layer by layer. And so I want to give us a bracha, a blessing, that we let the Seder just wash over our beings, that we be with it as though it's a seminar, a retreat that we've paid good money to attend, Because Hashem knows what he's doing in each of this. It's not random. And just let it wash over you. Take the time now to get some kavanas and some intentions and some appreciation of the work. But when you get to that night and you get to that space, let it wash over you. Just go through the steps and feel it. Feel your nobility at Kadesh. Feel the washing and the separations that you're beginning to enter into, and Orchatz, and the dipping and the reclamation of the family unit and the integration of Ahavas Israel as a tikkun of judging others negatively. Dip into your own tears. Feel the salty wounds inside your own pain. You can go into it. You can go through it. It's okay. You're not alone. You'll be safe with this. You can do it. You can do it. Allow the breaking to happen. Break open. Break it. Break open. It's okay. Pierce through the chametz, the ches. Get raw with your limitations. Get raw with how dependent you are on the Eibishter to do anything, to move your little pinkies. You can't do anything without Hashem. We're so small. We're so infinite. And we have to hold the paradox of both. And we can. Break open and tell your story. Drink those 4 cups. Enjoy them. Let them take you through the levels of Geula that you need to go through. All the way. Let them take you there. Ride this wave. Ride this journey. We need you to ride it. You need you to ride it. Everyone you love is counting on you to break it through. To break it through. And come through that Yom Sef. Come through anew. Show up in life. Show up unencumbered, unprotected. Show up connected, alive, open-hearted, trusting. Speaking your purpose, living your mission, shining your light in the presence of everyone you love. And become that safe address, become that sea of love for yourself, for everyone around you. And truly move from Geula to Geula, creating the vessels to receive this light, to shine this light, and let's do it. We're doing it. This is the redemptive experience. This is healing. This is integration. This is the journey. And I'm just grateful to share it with you. Thank you for listening, shining love and light. And may we all be blessed to journey through this together and individually and reach those heights that we yearn for and that we seek.